Thank you.
Okay, so cabinet members, will you go ahead and introduce yourselves? I'm Elizabeth Austin, Assistant Superintendent of School Leadership and Accountability. I work with all of our principals in schools.
Good evening, Monica Williams, Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources.
Good evening, I'm Tanya Patton, the Assistant Superintendent of Student Services.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Levon Singleton, the Chief Financial Officer.
Good evening. I'm Ishmael Sistrunk, the Executive Director of Communications.
And one of our cabinet members is away this week, Dr. Stacy Nichols. She leads our curriculum and instruction department. Principals, would you mind going ahead and introducing yourselves?
I'm Amber White. I'm the principal at Moline Elementary School.
Good evening, I'm Dr. Schulberg. I'm the principal at Danforth Elementary School.
Good evening. My name is Tiandra Bland, and I'm the principal at Lewis and Clark Elementary.
Good evening. My name is Travis Ford, and I'm the principal of Highland Elementary.
Good evening. My name is Travis Brown, Jr., principal at LeMasters Elementary.
Good evening, Wendy Winfield, principal at Meadows Elementary.
Good evening. My name is Amita Williams. I'm the Director of Early Childhood at Michelle Obama Early Childhood Academic Center.
Good evening. My name is Rachel Clark. I am the principal of Central Middle School.
Good evening. My name is Dominic Lenoir. I am the principal of Westview Middle School.
Good evening. My name is Tracynava, and I am the principal of Riverview Gardens High School.
Any other principals? Okay.
Ms.
So-
Austin, I think
Yes.
you have a few assistant principals on the line here as well.
Yes, assistant principals, would you please introduce yourselves, and Director of ACE or Alternative Education, please introduce yourself as well.
Good evening, I'm Dr. Jared Smith. I'm the Director of Alternative Education and the District Hearing Officer.
Good afternoon. I'm Jarita Williams, Assistant Principal at Westview Middle School.
I'm noticing there are a few other district assistant principals, and I'm wondering if we have any other administrators or staff members that would like to introduce themselves.
My name is Lakeisha Nelson. I am the Family Engagement Specialist for the school district.
Good evening. I'm Deidre Liddell, District Intervention Coordinator.
Good evening. I'm Courtney Rachel, Assistant Principal at Central Middle School.
Are there other district employees who would like to introduce themselves? At this time, I'm going to ask that you take a look at your picture or your name on the screen. In the upper right-hand corner, there are 3 dots. Those 3 dots, when you click on them, you are able to rename yourself. Please rename yourself as your first name and last, as well as your school of interest. I'm asking this primarily for community members so that we're able to know who we have in the room. And if there are community members that would like to introduce themselves, please do.
And for community members would need to raise their hands so that we would be able to unmute them.
Okay. So can you tell them how to do that, Mr. Sistrunk?
Yes, there is on the reactions, excuse me, the reactions portion at the bottom of the Zoom page, there is an option to raise your hand. So if you click raise hand, I can ask you to unmute.
So on the bottom, there's a smiley face with a plus sign. And if you click that and click raise hand, your hand will go up. And then Mr. Sistrunk can invite you to unmute.
Shy crowd.
Shy. Okay, we'll go ahead and get started. First of all, I want to thank everyone for being here, especially our principals, our cabinet members, and all of our district staff. You are very much appreciated, and I'm so pleased that you're here. We are engaging in listening and learning throughout the district. This week, we have had listening and learning conversations at our middles and high schools. As a result of that, we wanted to also make sure that all stakeholders' voices were coming into our conversation. We know that we've always been able to count on our community. The community has always been supportive, especially with propositions R and E. And in an effort to continue this engagement, we're meeting now to start a listening and learning campaign. We know that you have many questions. We know that school is different this year. And while we won't have all the answers tonight, we do know that as we continue to work together toward a common goal and a common purpose, that begins with collaboration. So I'm really thrilled that we're able to do this. We've done our introductions, and Ishmael, would you mind going over some of the logistics for the evening?
Certainly, and I have shared the agenda with everyone just so everybody has a chance to view. We'll have welcome, which we just had, a welcome and introduction, logistics, questions, and thank you to all of our moderators and all of our staff members who are online. Let me pull up the next slide here. And just some guidelines for our discussion. First off, we will address the comments that were emailed before the meeting. So when we posted, we asked that people would email questions to Ms. Austin. And so we do have some of those questions. Additional questions should be entered into the Zoom chat. So we will allow others to ask questions and we will address those as well. But we ask that you type those into the chat and we will have our chat moderator read those questions so we can address those. We ask that you please refrain from identifying personal information about your child or other children in Riverview Gardens School District. If there are specific situations that need to be addressed, then we can certainly share, exchange contact information. But because this is a public space, we just want to make sure that you're not identifying any personal information about your child in this space. Also, please be respectful. Please be respectful in language. We definitely want to hear your opinions, your comments, and your thoughts, but we just ask for a respectful dialogue. It is possible that we may not have time to address every question tonight. Again, it depends on how many questions that we receive, but we will make sure that we log every question and we will address them in the future. So if we don't have time to get to your question, we're going to post a FAQ later of frequently asked questions. We're going to have additional meetings like this in the past because we are really striving to increase our community engagement. And so we thank everybody who's here tonight, and this is not the last meeting that we will have like this. So if we don't address it in tonight's meeting, we may address it in the next meeting. And thank you all for your time. Please remain involved, engaged, and active in your scholars education. because it does take a village. I know it's an old saying, but it does take a village to raise a child. So the more parents, the more community members that we can have involved, the better education that we can provide.
Thank you so much, Ishmael. I want to really give Ishmael some attention for the hard work that he's done in terms of setting up not just this meeting, but also our listening and learning campaign at Central Middle School, at Westview Middle School, and Riverview Gardens High School. Thank you very, very much. So Riverview Gardens School District's top priorities are health and safety for our students, providing a high quality, world-class education for our students, and making sure that we have community engagement in order to better respond to the needs of our families and students. As a result of the past 18 to 24 months, we have been experiencing items that we've never experienced before. We have been through a pandemic. We're still in the midst of the pandemic. And one of the issues that we're having is figuring out, how do we build community in the midst of a pandemic? We know that we have nationwide shortages of teachers, nationwide shortages of workers, such as cafeteria workers, bus drivers, all types of support personnel. We know that the concerns in Riverview Gardens are not only limited to Riverview Gardens or specific to Riverview Gardens. We know that schools across the country are experiencing most and many of the same things that we are experiencing. As we return to school in August, we were hoping to return to as much of a normal school environment as possible. And what we have experienced is anything other than what we have experienced in years previous to COVID. One of the things that I've observed in being at all of our schools is the impact of social isolation. With our students having been at home for at least 18 months, they lacked the social interaction that they're used to. And humans are social animals. We love to engage. We would love to be around each other. We center around our family and our community. That didn't happen so much when we were going through the beginning and middle of the pandemic. The pandemic isn't over, and we're feeling the ramifications of that every single day. What I'm witnessing within the district on a daily basis while engaging with principals, teachers, students, my colleagues here at the district office, and parents throughout the community is anxiety, stress, fatigue, frustration, fear, and even anger. It's resulting in things that we haven't seen before. We have a high number of physical altercations, and we believe that's stemming from many of the issues that COVID has presented, specifically the social isolation. So we want to hear this. This is what we talked with our students about at our middle schools. I know that elementary schools are engaging in these conversations with their counselors and teachers. So like I said, we've had student voice, teacher voice, administrative voice, central office voice in our departments as well. And now we need to increase our parent and community voice in order to determine how to move forward together. So we want to listen, we want to learn, and we want support in problem solving in order to meet our goals of providing a healthy and safe environment, providing a high quality world-class education, and having community engagement. I'm going to hand it off now to our moderators, who are going to share our first three questions, and our principals and others will be providing some answers. or not answers, because we're not going to have all the answers, but their thoughts and responses. And as folks have questions, please put them in the chat.
Good evening again, everyone. I'll go ahead and start with our first question. Our first question is, my question is why are parents not being included via Zoom to discuss the physical altercations that's occurring daily in the middle schools? Some type of parent meeting with students.
I'll answer the question. We are exploring measures to arrange virtual parent meetings that may be necessary to help resolve student conflicts and to alleviate further issues that may arise. It is and has always been our goal at the school level to hear parent voices. It is also essential that we partner with our parents and families to ensure that all voices are heard again, and that you understand that we support you and want to share the efforts to ensure safety and academic success of or for all of our scholars.
Thank you so much, Ms. Clark. And Travis Ford.
Good evening. I'm going to share the next parent question that was posed, and that is, why are there not metal detectors at the middle schools?
I would answer that. As we know, and here at Riverview Gardens School District, safety of our students and staff is of the utmost importance. This is something that we have been looking into, and we continue with those conversations, and we will move forward as we gain more information onto that. So that is something that we are definitely looking into.
Thank you, Mr. Lenoir. And thank you, Ms. White.
Our third parent question. During passing time for the middle and high schools, are all administrative staff, educators, DSOs, extra support aides at the doors of the classrooms and restrooms monitoring the hallways?
Mr. Ford, I'll take that question. Each day during our passing periods, we have all staff members at the middle schools and high schools are expected to stand at the doorways, the hallways of the doors of the classrooms, as well as the restrooms. In addition, at the high school, we have students who will travel outside of the buildings. So we have staff members stationed outside in those areas as well to monitor the safety of those scholars while they're passing through those periods for class times.
Thank you so much, Ms. Nave. So we've had 3 questions from our parents that were mailed in. Dr. Singleton, do we have any questions in the chat?
Ms. Austin, thank you. At this time, we have no questions in the chat. So let me please reiterate, if there are any questions that parents have or concerns, please put those in the chat so that we can make them a part of this dialogue as well.
I also recognize at least one Riverview Gardens high school student. I'm wondering if she has any questions. And if you do, would you mind putting them in the chat? Oh, I
Ms.
love
Austin?
this one. I love this one.
Sure.
Who would like to take this one?
Sure.
Or why don't you read it for all of us, Dr.
Sure.
Singleton?
Let me read it. It looks like there may be 2. So let me read it. The first question asks, why are children's phones not taken before classes? This should open up some interesting dialogue. We all may have opinions on this one, but I will allow the experts who deal with this on a daily basis. So why are children's phones or student phones not taken before classes?
Principals, please feel free to jump in.
While it's not consistent across the board, we do have some teachers who make this a part of their daily practice, but it is not something that has been enforced across the board. Just as there are parents who are on board with us taking phones before classes, there are also a great number of parents who are against that. So we are looking forward to getting some surveys and information out to parents to determine what's going to be the best practice for us. As you know, safety and security is of the utmost importance. And many times parents have indicated that they wanted to be able to get in touch with their child while they're on campus. So we're still monitoring that situation, but that's what it is. It is done on a teacher by teacher basis. Some teachers actually do take those phones before the class.
Does anyone else care to comment on that question? District principals? Dr. Patton?
Yes, I would just like to also add that this is something where we have to make sure we have the right type of equipment to lock those phones up safely, to allow students to trust that if they do turn over their devices, they'll get them back. And so that's something that we have to make sure we have take care of and have in place in order to make sure that we're doing a building-wide collection of phones. We have to make sure we have those procedures and processes in place.
Thank you, Mr. Lenoir. We have had several conversations on that topic. We are continuing to discuss that as a district, and we will be getting parent feedback so that we can hear what you think, how you think it should be handled. Whenever this decision is made, if it's made, we want our community involved in it. So we will continue to have conversations. We'll continue with Dr. Pruitt-Adams as she comes in, and welcome Dr. Pruitt-Adams, by the way. As she comes in, we will continue those conversations, and we will be communicating with our community when we make that decision. Thank you, everybody.
I would like to share, after reviewing board policy, our board policy does have the provision to have cell phones either stay at home or be taken in the event that they are misused. As most of you are aware, we have many instances this year of cell phone disruption. Unfortunately, we have a high number of students that choose to use their cell phones in ways that are counterproductive to ensuring a healthy and safe environment. As a result, we are having, as each of my colleagues have said, very serious conversations about how to make sure that students who are doing the right thing are still able to have privileges. And when we have students that may make poor decisions, how do we assure that the learning environment is still healthy and safe for everyone? And board policy, again, does support having students without cell phones as a result of misuse. So are we going to go with, would you like to go with a couple more chat questions, or shall we go back to the, we have 3 more questions from our email. Levon, how about one more chat question?
Yeah, I think the chat questions are very good, and I think we should address those. So the next question in the chat asks, what is being done to assist with the stress management of the teachers at Westview, specifically Westview? What is being done to assist with the stress management of the teachers at Westview?
I can't speak specifically to Westview exclusively, but what I do know is on Tuesday night, we were very excited to learn that the district would be closed on November 22nd and 23rd. 22nd and 23rd. That way, our students, our teachers, our principals, all of our staff and community members will have the opportunity to rest relax, enjoy family, and re-energize themselves. It is appreciated that the stress and fatigue level is recognized. And so that is one proactive measure that the board and central office have taken in order to help in some way relieve the stress and fatigue that our teachers and our staff are experiencing.
Also, I would like to say at Westview, we do have on Monday mornings, we have meditation Mondays where teachers come in a little early and we do meditation to prepare them for the week. We were doing, which we'll be starting back up, Yoga Tuesdays after school. We celebrate our teachers' birthdays, Veterans Day. We had some teachers Veterans Day. We actually not just celebrate our teachers, but we celebrate our staff. We celebrated our Securitas person yesterday. It was his birthday. So we try to do things. We've done things outside of the school for a little bit more stress management with our teachers. So we try to celebrate them when we can. And that's something that we'll continue to do and actually try to do more of. I do see a few of my Westview parents on here. We've done things that the Westview parents have done to celebrate our staff. That's something that would like to continue this year. So any ideas, I'm more than willing to listen. Our doors open for parents to come and support and help as much as they can and give us suggestions. We are always willing to take the suggestions and do more for our teachers to support them. But also, we're not just looking to support the stress management of our teachers. We're also looking at the support the stress management of our students. So that's something that as we move forward as a district, we're looking to do to find with trauma informed to make sure that all staff and students are addressed and recognized and heard. So, and parents, we want our parents to be heard too. So my door has always been an open door policy. So if that's a parent of Westview Middle, you can always come and sit down with me. I'm definitely willing to listen. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lenoir.
Hi, this is Jarita Williams from Westview. I would like to also add on to that, if I may. We also have allowed opportunities for teachers to come in on a one-on-one basis just to vent to see if we have any other services that we can provide. And as we also are doing trauma-informed practices for our scholars, we are participating in activities for our teachers as well to make sure we're addressing the needs of all.
Thank you so much, Ms. Williams. Shall we go back to our moderators for the parent questions that we received via email? I think you have number 4, Amber.
The next question is specifically regarding Riverview Gardens transportation. And the question posed is, why are there not bus monitors on the buses?
That's such a great question, and one that we have been giving some thought to. We understand that our bus behavior is in need of some monitoring. We know that kids are having difficulty on the bus in terms of behavior. And we know that even sometimes at our bus stops, we have some altercation. So we're looking into a lot of proactive measures. We've had parents that call us regarding bus behavior. And as a result of that, administrators and Dr. Singleton, different district office staff go to the bus stops to help out. But I really welcome that suggestion that was made looking into bus monitors. And Dr. Singleton, since you're over transportation, I'm wondering if you have anything to add.
Sure, Ms. Austin, thank you. It's ironic that we're having this conversation because about 3 hours ago, I was called to a bus incident today. And I do think that monitors are a great option to help monitor student activities on the ride home. I do want to remind us all that we have certainly had our challenges in getting drivers to become fully staffed. first student, and in fact, I've invited Lucas Toronto. He's here tonight, and I will let him say a couple words as well, because they use monitors on a lot of their sped routes and some other routes with known behaviors. But again, I want to just remind us that, you know, we have certainly had our share of struggles trying to get drivers, and Lucas could speak more to it. So just like we're struggling with teachers and cooks and custodians, there are challenges there as well. But I do think that the idea of having bus monitors is certainly something to look into. Lucas, let me allow you just an opportunity to say hello and just give us a little bit of insight on how impactful you think bus monitors would be.
Sure. Good evening, Dr. Singleton and everyone. So as Dr. Singleton was saying, usually a monitor is used on a sped route, and that's a special education route. So where there's assistance for potentially students in wheelchairs, harnesses, seat belts, etc. And other times, districts may employ a monitor for a short while, while there's an active behavior issue rather, on specific routes. But that's something we can definitely look into with the district. Dr. Singleton and I spoke about that earlier this evening. As he said, there is a labor shortage nationwide. We do have sign-on bonuses for drivers as well as monitors. For the Riverview Gardens School District, all the regular ed routes are fully staffed at this point. There is an opportunity to add some students in transition routes as we get more drivers available. But yeah, it's a good point. We can definitely look into it.
Thank you so much, Dr. Singleton and Lucas. It's really great to hear from the folks in the district that are responsible for these departments and get some real-time responses. So I really appreciate that. How about our next question, Travis?
Our next parent question is, what quality of education can a student get if they consistently have to miss school due to sniffing or sneezing or due to allergies?
I can take that question, Mr. Ford. While we certainly understand that there are seasonal allergies and there are things that we have in the past considered seasonal or part of normal changing of the seasons at school, unfortunately, we are dictated by the CDC, and that requires us to maintain certain policies and procedures as it relates to COVID and reporting as such. And so what our, what our staff has been assigned to do is if there are 2 or more symptoms that are COVID-like, we are sanctioned by those policies and procedures from the CDC to then quarantine our students. So while we don't want to do that necessarily, we want them to be at school. That's the best place for them to be. We also want to make sure that we are taking care of the safety and security of all of our students. And while we can't know truthfully at that time whether it's COVID or not, we have to make sure that we maintain a safe environment for all students. And we do go by those CDC guidelines to ensure the safety of everybody. And while it might not be what we want to do or what's popular or what's convenient, it's what we know will keep our kids safe.
Right. And Dr. Schoberg, let me add to that. We also look at the St. Louis County Health Department. We consult with them a lot. And so as Dr. Schoberg said, if there are at least two of the symptoms, we have to send them home. Again, it is not what we want to do, but we consult with the St. Louis County Health Department as well as the CDC, and we follow those guidelines. Absolutely, it's always better for our students to be in person, but we have to err on the side of caution and keep, the building safe as well.
Thank you so much, Dr. Patton. And Dr. Patton's department has done such an incredible job working with the St. Louis Health Department and all of the other entities. And done a tremendous job in recruiting nurses. So we have a really great network of staff that are working with us for contact tracing and assuring that we're able to follow those processes and procedures. Thank you so much, Dr. Patton. And Amber, how about our next question?
The final question that was shared from patrons in advance is along those same lines of COVID-19, and that is one that I've received a lot from parents. Why didn't RGSD continue with virtual learning?
And thank you to the community member that submitted that question. I'll jump in to answer. And one, I will say that the state of Missouri does allow for virtual options through MOCAP. So there are virtual options in place for students. However, the Missouri Department of Elementary and Secondary Education and the State Board of Education were very committed to Missouri schools returning to in-person. And part of that, Dr. Schulberg and Dr. Patton mentioned, it's just proven to be more effective for most scholars in person. And it also allows for social and emotional education growth. And that's something that we've heard a lot over the past 3 days during our listening sessions directly from students. They've said virtual learning just wasn't the same. They were happy to get back to in-person learning. And I know a lot of our faculty and staff are glad to see them back in person. However, we must ensure that we're doing it in a safe way where we can ensure the health, safety, and security of our students. And so, but there are virtual options that exist. And, you know, our goals for scholars, again, we have to ensure the health and safety of them. We want to provide a high quality world-class education, and we want to continue to build impactful community engagement. And so part of that high quality world-class education piece, we know that that can be achieved in person easier than it can be done virtually. So there are virtual components to it, but in person is the place or is the way to be, as long as we can do it in a safe, secure way. And thank you again for that question.
Thanks so much, Ishmael. Hey, it's your turn, Dr. Singleton. What have we got going on in the chat?
Hey, the chat is, as our high school and middle school kids would say, the chat is on and popping. So
okay.
Let me read a couple more questions for you, from the chat. All right, so the next question asks, what procedures do we have in place to address concerns that go unaddressed by the school? Let me repeat that. What procedures do we have in place to address concerns that go unaddressed by the school?
Do I have a principal that's willing to give that a shot to start with?
Well, my name is Tracynava. I'm the principal at the high school. First, I would like to say thank you for that question. I would hope that we would address those issues at the school level, at the building level. Should they not be addressed, please feel free to contact central office. My supervisor is Elizabeth Austin if it's for the high school, and I'm sure she will get right back to me to make sure that we do that and keep us accountable, because we want to make sure that we are addressing all issues for the building level. If there's a specific issue, I'd love to meet offline if it's for the high school, so that I can address that and make sure that it is.
And we really pride ourselves in making sure that our principals manage their schools and their issues that are happening at those schools. As a teacher, I was always appreciative when my principal referred a parent back to me so that I could manage the situation. As a teacher, I'm the one who's in the classroom with them all day, so it would be likely I could solve the problem. Same with our principals. They're the ones that are on the ground all day, every day at our schools. With that being said, we are really in an all hands on deck situation as a result of staffing shortages in all areas, including teachers. All people that are at school during the school day are working with students. So in order to get a response, we have to be patient. School is very different right now than it was 18, 24 months ago. And I do have complete faith and confidence in each of my principals, assistant principals, and teachers in their ability to manage their students and their schools well. When that doesn't happen, you have myself who supervises all schools, all principals. I work with discipline and a variety of other matters. You also have Dr. Patton, who is the Assistant Superintendent of Student Services. She works with students in transition and security, and I'm sure that she'll speak to this more in just a moment. I have an assistant by the name of Ms. Flowers. Dr. Patton has an assistant, and we receive an abundance of calls at this time as a result of many of the concerns that I mentioned. Generally speaking, our assistants listen to the concerns and immediately refer the concern to me and the principal. And I wait at least 24 hours to become involved so that I can give the school an opportunity to address the concern. From then, I talk with parents, speak with students, and do what I can do to help resolve the issue. Which always results in going back to the school to really figure it out and problem solve so that we're able to meet the needs of each and every individual student. And Dr. Patton, if you would like to elaborate, that would be wonderful.
Hello, everybody again. So there are several departments within the Student Services Department. One of those are counselors and social workers. And we have been heavily focused this year on trauma-informed practices. Our teachers and buildings are being trained on it twice a month, but we are also trying to address the student issue, not just from a punitive standpoint, but also from a supportive standpoint. So I work with Deirdre Liddell. Deirdre is the district interventionist, and I'm going to have her speak about some of the things that we are putting in place to help support our students. Do we want to deal with them on a punitive basis? No, we would like to do it in a more supportive stance. So our counselors and social workers are working very hard. We're bringing in extra support to help support our students and meet with them and give them the maybe social emotional support that they need. So Deirdre Liddell, can you just talk just for a second about some of the things that Student Services Department will be moving forward with to support our students? Are you there, Deirdre?
Yes, good evening, everyone. So in regards to social emotional learning and support, we have the counselors pushing into classrooms with their guidance curriculum on social emotional learning. We also have conflict resolution. We have an outside agency, Prevent Ed, that's coming in doing conflict resolution for all of our scholars across the board, as well as training scholars on peer mediation and resolution, so that when the scholars are having a situation, then sometimes their peers are able to kind of step in and mediate with adult supervision. So that's one thing we're doing. We also have a lot of outside agencies and therapeutic partners that are located within our district. So if someone is looking for any type of services, we have therapists that are actually here in the school. The scholars would just need to make an appointment and they can be seen for therapeutic services. In our learning tour that we've done, we learned that a lot of our scholars, and they just said, hey, you know, with the pandemic, we have a lot of social anxiety coming back, different things like that. And they talked about the therapeutic resources, and they were very happy that we had those resources on campus. So we're continuing to be able to push services out to your scholars. We also have family resources, community resources. So really anything that our scholars and our family need, have a need for, then we're here to help and support you all.
Very good. Thank you, Deirdre.
All right. I think you all gave some great answers. We do have a couple more questions that have hit the chat. So please allow me to introduce those questions to the dialogue. The next question asks, is there a way we can implement parent engagement throughout our schools? And I think that question, I'm going to put our student on the line. She's on the chat as well, and she came up with that question. So let's make sure that we know that Precious is certainly concerned about parent engagement. Dr. Patton, I think that's another one of your areas. So if you want to speak to how we implement parent engagement in our schools.
Absolutely. So we have a parent engagement specialist. Her name is Lakeisha Nelson. She introduced herself at the beginning of our meeting. And so Lakeisha Nelson, come on and let our parents know what we're doing to bring parents into the school, to include them in the planning and just the different activities. I think there's a bingo night coming up. So Lakeisha, come on and talk about what you're doing to engage our parents. And Precious, that was a great question. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone, again. So yes, I'm a family engagement specialist. So I started a parent university. And with the parent university, I do at least 2 sessions a month on budgeting, on housing, so anything to empower the parents. I also started a parent advisory council every first Monday of the month for all the parents in the district to attend and express any concerns. And Dr. Patton is on that meeting, and it's open dialogue. So we also have an upcoming bingo night that I plan on opening for everybody in the district. So I do a lot of things to try to get the parents engaged.
Yeah, and then Lakeisha did mention this, but at the end of last year, probably starting, I think in maybe February, March, she started having ACT prep courses. We have people helping our students. So we have a lot of things that we're doing to keep our families engaged. So please, parents, please join the Parent Advisory Council. We would love to have you on to help support our schools and tell us what you need. And we do want you to be a part of our school community. We cannot do it without our parents. So parents, if you are listening, we ask that you please join that. We will be emailing that information out. As she said, it's the first Monday of every month. I believe it starts at 6 o'clock. So please join us, parents. Lakeisha, thank you.
And if I can jump in here as well. I think events like this, these are things that we are committed to having, that we are committed to building parent engagement. And for my own committee, I have a communications committee, and we're looking to increase our parental involvement on that. So if any of the parents online are interested, we typically meet every other Thursday at 5 o'clock, and this is virtually. So you can send me a direct message on here, or you can put your name in the chat and reach out to me, because we're looking to have more parents and more community members involved as we build a comprehensive communications plan. And so we're appreciative of the parents that we have and the staff that we have, but we want to get more community involvement. So if you're interested, we're looking for parents all the time. So we appreciate your support.
Principals, can you give us any information about the parent engagement that occurs at your schools and maybe what you have coming up? I know that at least 3 of our schools had incredible trunk or treat activities, and it was so heartwarming to walk to the school and see students in costumes, excited, families kind of holding hands and walking. It was so exciting to see them going to a school and being together, just enjoying being outside and being social. There was a wonderful event at LeMaster's, a petting zoo actually, and at the same time having a reading night where books were distributed and of course snacks. What are some other things that have been occurring and that are upcoming?
Tracynava for the high school. We just recently had our FAFSA Frenzy, where we help parents complete the financial aid application for student aid for their seniors and those students who are going off to school for the 22-23 school year. In addition, we will have Thanksgiving basket giveaways that are being donated through our partner church across the street, True Redemption. And so those will be going out information about that will be forthcoming.
Thank you, Ms. Nave.
At Michelle Obama, we had a great time with our trunk or treat. Let's see, next week on Wednesday, we're going to have a group connection through our Parents as Teachers program. It's called Polar Express. So if you like that movie or that book, it's a virtual train ride through the Polar Express, and it's going to be a Zoom meeting. And you can join us for Polar Express Yoga, Polar Bear Activity, Winter Treats, and Polar Express Story. And so that is posted on our Michelle Obama Facebook page, as long as and Twitter. So you can join us with that.
Thank you so much, Dr. Williams.
I think I speak for a lot of the, at least elementary principals, when I say we try to make parent engagement also beyond one particular event. So many of us use apps school-wide so that we can communicate more quickly with parents. We work to send out monthly newsletters, both for the school level and classroom or grade level, so that families know what's going on. Just 2 weeks ago, we finished our parent-teacher conferences. I can speak for my school that we had a strong turnout from parents at parent-teacher conferences. And even things like the car rider drop-off line in the morning and pickup line are a time that we're able to speak to parents and make face-to-face connections so families know what's happening at school. As the weather gets colder, it is going to be more challenging to have events and to do so safely. We in our building had to cancel our family math night simply because we now don't have school on the day that was planned. But as the weather gets colder, it becomes a bit more difficult to bring everybody indoors to a space. So we're all trying to think of creative ways that we can share in-person school with families at home on a frequent basis rather than just one particular event.
Okay, hey Ishmael, we've got a principal who would like to be unmuted, LaShonda Johnson from Coke.
All right, let's see.
Coke has done some amazing things this year with family engagement.
All right, she should be able to unmute.
So good evening, everyone. I'm sorry, I was like, I can't talk. My name is Mrs. Johnson. I'm from Coke Elementary School, and no, we don't have a formal parent committee, but we do have parent events every month that we reach out to. And so we've had like a Grandparents' Day lunch. We also had an awesome trunk or treat night. And just each month we try to tie the month to a family event. And as Amber stated, the weather is getting a little cooler, so it's more difficult because we have done everything outside due to COVID. So we're actually partnering with St. Louis County Police Department for the month of November to help feed 50 of our families. So that's just one way that we're still connecting with the families in November.
Awesome.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Ms. Johnson.
Great. Thank you, Ms. Johnson, and all the other principals and administrators who shared activities and ways that our parents can get involved. I've got a few more questions in the chat, and we certainly want to be mindful of the time. So let me jump right into it. There's another question here that asks, are there cameras on the buses? Again, are there cameras on the buses? I will address this question. It's transportation related, and certainly if Lucas wants to jump in, he can assist me. Our bus fleet varies. So we have newer buses that are being currently leased. And then we have some Riverview Garden buses that we own. The newer buses certainly come with the standard cameras and technology that some of the older buses do not. And so to answer that question, quite a number of our buses do have cameras, but there are some that right now lack the technology and cameras that we are looking that we need. And so we are certainly looking and having those conversations to make sure that there are cameras on all of our buses moving forward. So just want to make sure that you know that some buses have cameras, some do not, but we're moving forward with trying to make that where all of our buses have cameras. The next, Lucas also put some information in the chat. And I also want to just take a moment to say that we have a significant number of vacancies. parents, if you're looking for work, if you know friends or family members that are looking for work, not only is First Student hiring for drivers and there are bonuses and incentives, but the Riverview Gardens School District is hiring as well. We're looking for teachers, cooks, custodians, all of those different employee groups. There we go. I'm going to let Ishmael take over here for a few minutes because we've got an upcoming career fair, and I think Monica and Ishmael will probably talk to it a little bit better than I can. Go for it, Ish.
Oh, thank you, Dr. Singleton. And I had this queued up from earlier when we were talking about careers and jobs and filling positions. And so we did just have a career fair on November 6th, but we will have another one on December 4th. And as you can see on this flyer, we're hiring all across the board. I know sometimes when we talk about educational jobs, people automatically think it's a teacher or a principal, but we have positions for cooks, safety officers, nurses, custodians, administrative assistants, maintenance workers, really all across the board. We have openings, and like many other employers right now, it is a struggle to fill all positions. And so I know Ms. Williams can speak to that a little more, but in addition to being engaged with us for your students, we also want to offer career opportunities for our parents and for our community members. And so if you're interested, definitely we'd love to see you on Saturday, December 4, that's 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Or you can visit our website, rgsd.k12.mo.us, and you can just look at the positions that are available because the more positions that we can fill, the better education that we can provide to all scholars.
Okay, Ishmael, you said everything I was going to say. Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, thank you.
Take the words out your mouth.
That's our assistant superintendent of HR. She's a joy to work with on Mondays. But we'll go from there. So here's the next question on the chat. And we want to make sure we get back to the chat. There's a concern. So I want to be just forewarned that there's a concern here. And this may need to be dealt with at the individual building level. So I'm going to just kind of paraphrase or read some of this questionnaire. It says, Tuesday, my son was told that he could use a certain word in order, and as long as it was used in a nice way. So this particular parent is saying that there are issues that are going unaddressed. And so that's why she was asking about the stress levels at the school. And so we certainly want to make sure that all of your issues and concerns are addressed. And so I would encourage you to reach out to that building principal to set up a meeting, set up a Zoom conference, speak to the building principal.
Mr. Singleton, I would like to just say that issue was actually addressed with the teacher. The issue was brought to me by the parent.
Okay.
I took it seriously, and also myself and the assistant principal sat down with that teacher, and we had that conversation with the teacher. And to just leave that issue, not to go further into depth, but I can explain later with the parent exactly what the teacher was getting at when she talked about that situation.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Mr. Lenoir. We had all the confidence in the world that you would address that situation. So next question here, Ms. Austin, we have, this is a question from our friend and good student, Ms. Precious again. She wants to know, are there any clubs or activities that we can implement after school for children that have behavior or mental health issues, such as therapeutic sessions or something for Riverview Gardens High School students? So what can we do after school to help our children curtail some of their behavior and also address mental health issues? So I'll throw that out there and let you answer that.
Well, one of the things that I know after being on the listening tour in our schools with Dr. Patton and Ms. Liddell is they are on top of this. Would you all care to comment?
Thank you for your question, Precious. So what's going to happen from our listening and learning committee is leadership teams, student leadership teams will be formed. We thank all of the students for their openness with our meetings that we had to let us know how we can better serve them within their community. So leadership teams will be formed at every single school within the district. And we want to hear the voices of our scholars. And from there, we will begin to plan and implement how we can put these different groups together, whether we're doing activities within the school day or we're doing them in our after school sessions with sponsors.
And I just want to add to that, they will be linked to a larger society of students with schools district who have leadership teams. We are so excited about that, Precious. We will make sure that you are on there as well. But we are excited about starting the student leadership teams. As we've gone out and heard the voices of our students, they want support. They were very frank and very open in their conversations with us. They told us what they needed, especially our high school students. So we are more than happy. And as Ms. Austin said, the Student Services Department is working very hard to make sure that we can bring some things to our students. Precious, you talked about mental health support. We are very focused on that because we all need it, you know, and our students were very frank and said that they needed it. They said that the effects of this pandemic, being home for 18 months, caused social anxiety, depression. They were very honest, and we very much appreciated that. So we are working hard, Precious, for you as well as all of our students to help support our students so that they can arrive at school and be in an environment where they are supported not only academically, but social and emotionally as well. So we got a lot of good things coming your way. And so Precious, make sure you get all of your high school friends and let them know about it because we want them involved.
And as of right now, if anyone is in need of any type of therapeutic services or mental health services, they can receive those services throughout the day. And that is district-wide. So we have services here at the high school for our high school scholars, our middle school scholars, as well as our elementary scholars. They can receive those services throughout the day. And we also have a family resource. So we have a therapeutic resource that will do some counseling within the home. So please reach out. We have all the resources that you all would need.
And student services is such a proactive department.
Thank you.
Awesome. All right, I think we've got a couple more chat questions. Ms. Austin, can we take some more questions?
Yes, you know, we actually, if we've got more questions, we could go ahead until 8:30. We don't have to drag it out, but if we've got more questions, let's do it.
Yes, we do. I think we've got some good questions. Here's another question here. It says, are there any volunteer opportunities for our students to participate in during school hours? Any volunteer opportunities for students during the school day?
I can address this at the high school level. At the high school, we have our student tutoring and mentoring program where we have high school scholars who are volunteering to tutor on our campus or mentor younger students. They go into some of the classrooms. Typically in years past, they've gone to the surrounding elementary schools like Gibson, Glasgow, Highland, were some of the ones that they most likely participated with. And so we have those. We also have our National Honor Society with volunteering hours for recycling. They have a recycling Green the Block program. So we have several opportunities for volunteering. I'm also working with Ms. Williams and Dr. Singleton to look into a program where some of our culinary students could also support some of the work that's being done in the cafeteria, but we're still working on that. So, but I'd like to have that available as well. So there are opportunities for volunteering for our scholars at the high school level. And I also want to tell Precious that as far as clubs and activities, I am also on the committee for the clubs and activities. And so I'm working to have more autonomy for the schools to have those programs that the students see fit instead of just continuing on with those same programs after they are no longer needed on our campuses, or they're no longer the interests of the students on our campus.
Thank you so much, Ms. Nave. It's so important, and I think that you exemplify the fact that we're responsive to student and family needs. If we keep offering things that students aren't interested in, then we start having disinterested students. So I'm just so proud of our staff and our schools for really being responsive to what our students need. And I think that's also exemplified in our listening and learning at the high school, the middle schools, and also engaging with you all so that we're able to hear what you want, hear what you need, listen to concerns, and together move forward.
Right. And Ms. Austin and principals, I think that our students need to know, students like Precious and your peers, that there are opportunities. Ms. Clark also just gave you, Precious, an invitation to come over to her school and talk to her students. And that's one of the things that I loved when I was in high school. We had an opportunity to serve as mentors for the middle school students and the elementary school students. And so, Precious, just know that there are opportunities like that that exist in Riverview Gardens School District where you and your friends can go over and mentor the students in middle school. Middle school has certainly changed since I was in school, so I'm probably not the best expert there, but I think it would be a really good opportunity for some of our high school scholars to mentor our middle school students and learn how to look for alternative ways to resolve conflicts. And so, Precious, you got an invitation from Ms. Clark. So Ms. Nave, make sure you link those two together so that she can go over and give Ms. Clark some assistance.
Absolutely, but I'm protective of my Precious.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Do we have any more questions?
We don't have any more questions. There are some other just statements in the chat, and that's fine because we certainly want to hear those kinds of dialogue. But I would just also just say that if there's any concerns, particularly that need to be addressed with the principal or an administrator, then by all means, feel free to reach out to that person directly. That's the kind of culture that we want to establish. We'd like for you to handle those things where they are first. And then if there's no resolution, certainly if it's a transportation issue or custodial or maintenance, those can be escalated to myself. If there's any concerns at the building level that the principals are not handling those as sufficient as you believe, then certainly Ms. Austin is here. And so there are ways and situations for escalation. And so we're here. Certainly, Dr. Pruitt-Adams is here. If you don't get any resolution at our level, then she's here. She's here to take charge of everything. So trust and believe. I do think that you will certainly get some resolution and your voices will be heard. So thank you.
Absolutely.
Well, it looks like we've got all of our questions that have been responded to. I also see that Rachel Clark is totally in alignment with peer mentoring and really showcasing leaders. She's hopeful that her peer leaders or her student leaders will be going to elementary schools, and I cannot wait to see that. So thank you so much, Rachel. I want to go ahead and thank all of our participants, community members. Thank you so much for joining us. And please know that I hope that this is the first of many conversations that I'm able to engage in with you. I want to really appreciate our staff members, our student, Precious. You're amazing. I love talking to you every time I see you. Thank you, staff members. Thank you, parents. Thank you, community. Principals, I am forever indebted to you. You do such a tremendous job, and I'm humbled. I'm honored to work with you, and I just appreciate your work so much. And I know how tired we are. So thank you for being here. Cabinet members, colleagues, thank you for the support that you've lended for this particular meeting. I just want to say that we will continue to engage. We want to focus on the health and safety of our students so that we're able to provide a world-class, high-quality education and engage with our community in order to resolve problems and build our district to accreditation. Again, as Dr. Singleton said, we're so excited to bring Dr. Joylyn Pruitt-Adams to our district on Monday. Do you have any closing words, Dr. Pruitt-Adams?
I just want to say I appreciated the dialogue and particularly the questions. Precious, I've only seen you in this meeting, but I am so impressed by you. I am a strong proponent of student voice at all levels of decision making. So I look forward to personally getting to know you. And as I said, I look forward to joining the team on Monday. We've got a lot of work to do, but I'm sure we'll get through it.
Well, and we are thrilled that you'll be guiding us through. So without further ado, again, thank you so much for partnering with us. Thank you for trusting us with your scholars, and let's continue to keep up the great work, the motivation, and moving forward to assure that we have healthy and safe schools and a world-class education for every student in Riverview Gardens School District. We're going to say goodbye and sign off for now. Have a lovely evening, and we'll see you tomorrow. Please get some rest.
Good night. Good night.
Good
everyone.
night.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you.
Night.